want to be clear.
Yeah.
I want to give the Panthers credit for what they did.
Sure.
I thought they needed a plan. They went out and got a coaching staff with all kinds of experience. Wasn't a slapdash move. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I really hope this guy from Baylor in a smock who's never won anything in his life will suddenly become a great pro coach, right?
Right.
So I understand the thought process. Totally get that. Love what they did in terms of, hey, we need a quarterback. And you might think that sounds obvious, right? But they had a plan. They executed the plan. I want to give them credit for that, for being smart about that. At the time, I was not happy about the cost that they gave up because I didn't think there was a player in this draft worth DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey, which, however you want to slice it, is really what they paid to get the number 1 overall pick.
That's fair.
Okay. So I look at that and I go, and I'm not trying to second guess what they did because I think what they did was right. I think ultimately what they did was right. I just wonder if they have the right coach for the right moment and if they have the right quarterback now. And I get it that it's only 2 games, and I get it. This could be a Tua Tagovailoa situation where if you get the right pieces around him, Bryce Young could suddenly look a whole lot better.
But you know what the Dolphins
did? You get the right
did?
offensive line around him, you get a whole lot of pieces around him, and it looks a whole lot better. I just wonder, looking at the NFL, if a younger coach scheming people open a little bit, we see Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins. We see, I know he doesn't consider himself young anymore, but Sean McVay with the Rams. You look at Nick Sirianni with the Eagles. These players, and it could go the wrong way, right? You could get Nathaniel Hackett. Like, you can get the wrong one.
That's fine.
So
but you brought up the Dolphins. The one thing the Dolphins did beyond, you're right, what the Dolphins did with Tua Tagovailoa, the coach they ended up getting to work with Tua Tagovailoa, and the assets they brought in. The key here is that the Dolphins went through a process where they amassed draft picks.
Yes.
The Panthers are in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
You talk about the cost to get Bryce Young. Let's talk about the cost to get all the quarterbacks before Bryce Young.
Sure.
And the decisions made like on Matt Corral.
Henderson. Yeah.
Instead of, hey, man, Sam Howell was sitting right there for you, and you decided to take a gamble on Matt Corral. So there's a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, to trade up to get Matt Corral, who you cut, never plays it down for you.
The bill is coming due for a lot of personnel decisions. But to your point about the coaching staff, and I want to go back to that Andy Dalton sequence with Bryce Young. That to me was why I view that as a crystallized point so far in the season, is that Frank Reich does not trust this offensive line one bit. He does not trust the offense in general. He's playing it incredibly safe. It's a carryover from the preseason where I was at least giving them the benefit of the doubt of, they want to kind of roll Bryce Young into the season. They don't want to do too much. The game's a little fast. Let's have Bryce Young get acclimated. I was totally on board with those talking points, but it's week 2, man. And this stuff comes at you really, really quick. But Bryce Young threw it 33 times for a total of 153 yards. What does that tell you? You ain't throwing it down the field. You're not taking any shots. They eventually took some shots when the Saints were in prevent defense just to get the hell out of there. And it became a gambling conversation and not whether or not the Panthers could actually win this game. 26 of the 100 yards on the ground came on a scramble from Bryce Young. They abandoned the run in a close game that was being decided by defense. So if your defense is doing the job, why don't you run the freaking ball to eat some clock?
The kicker was really good too. Eddie Pinheiro was on it, man.
It's funny.
250 plussers.
It's funny. I the notes right here at the top, like the Panthers are mid, but hey, they've got a kicker. So just there. So I don't understand, why did you pitch it one way, but the actual actions tell you another story? And it gets back to that real simple concept that this team, the coaching staff, does not trust the offense. I think Lauren Brownlow put it succinctly when she was responding to our friend Nada. Nada saying, so if nothing else, first 6 quarters of the 2023 NFL make you brutally honest about where your talent level is. And Brownlow pointed this out on the Young Gun podcast, new episode coming out today. Their offseason additions are either your fantasy bench or starters that start in the flex spot. I mean, that's basically what the Carolina Panthers have right now. And it's abundantly clear, which now gets to your point. If you know this is what you're working with, you got to find a way to scheme out of that. And they're not doing anything right now. They're way too conservative. And it's going to get late early for the Panthers if they had designs on being a playoff team. But I don't know. We shall see. I don't know.
Well, there are 2 division games to start the year that they could have won.
Yeah.
The Atlanta game is slightly misleading that they were in that thing. It was 17. It was 10-10.
Yes.
For all intents and purposes. Jesse Bates makes some incredible plays for Atlanta. Fine. You end up losing on the road. You come back home, you play a division foe, you're at home. These are the kind of games that you have to win. Yeah, and that one's also slightly misleading. 2017, there was a late little backdoor action there.
So it's funny you mentioned that.
You got to score touchdowns, though, at the risk of being obvious.
Frank Reich after the game, and this is the clip, this is the soundbite from yesterday's post-game press conference that has gotten the most amount of run. And you tell me what this sounds like to you.
We're talking in there for a little bit, not with the team, just talking with a couple guys. Like I've seen this before. It's not that far away. It looks bad. But really, I don't believe it's that far away. We make a couple plays here, we here and there, and next thing you know, you got 28, 30 points. I know that's true. I know we have the players and the coaches to do it. I have zero doubt about that. It's just we have to execute better on offense.
Our radio people told us that you take away those runs, and we outscored them by 19. So
here's the thing, Frank. It's week 2 and you're already bizdelicking this bad boy. We don't want to do this, man.
27 total points in 2 weeks.
But if things go a different way, we got 28 points on the board in this game. But you didn't. But the funny thing is, he's right. He's ultimately right. I can see where he's coming from. But
I just said maybe they didn't get the right guy in terms of for what they need right now.
Yeah.
But he's 62. And he has that experience, and he has this staff that has all the experience. So there's nothing wrong with a little patience there. There's nothing wrong with having that viewpoint.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with trying to be positive with your team after 2 tough losses when you probably felt like, hey, we actually could have won at least the Atlanta game.